Hi there, it's Sue Stapp. I'm here to share with you today a bundle which includes the Forever Grapevine stamp set and the Grapevine dies. There are 6 pieces to the Grapevine dies and there are 7 to the stamp set. So a lot of combinations we can put together. I'm going to show you how I made one card, but I'm going to show you 3 or 4 examples that I've made with this set because I really like it. I happened to be stamping with some friends yesterday, and this is one that I had chose to showcase, so that's what I'm going to show you today. And this is how that card looks. This is when you open it out of the envelope, and it does fold flat for the envelope, but it is an easel card, so when your recipient opens it up, it's going to open up like so. So it has a little stopper here so it won't go down further than that, and there's plenty of room on the inside to leave a message or stamp an additional sentiment. I chose the sentiment, "Thank you for the beautiful ways you've touched my life." I thought that was very elegant and would be well received from anyone that you sent it to. So that's what I'm going to show you today. Now, like I said, this is an easel card, which means it's meant to stand up and showcase. So the person you send it to could put it on their mantle or a counter or a bookcase. These are a couple of the dies from the set. Now, I cut out 2 of these and I wasn't sure how I was going to use them. And I ended up not using those so far, but I will come up with a way. This is in white, and then there's a separate one that just does the leaves. So you can do alternate colors and just put the leaves on if you want, like so. So that is a couple of the dies, and I'll show you the other ones as we move along. But I did want to get started and show you how I set up this card. Now, first of all, I use the extra heavy cardstock on this one because it is an easel and I wanted it to have substantial weight to stand up. So this one is 11 inches long by our 4 1/4 wide. And so what you're going to do is at the halfway mark on one side, or at 2 7/8, you're going to score. Now that gives you that half fold that's going to make that stand up. So what I did next was, in my design, I thought I would like to do the dark wood on here, but I wanted to stamp and cut out the sentiment or the stamp so that it made a complete frame for that sentiment. And I did that by stamping it twice, once this way, once this way. The downside of that is that the dies do not fit this stamp physically to cut it both ways. So what I did was I colored in my leaves and I used the Just Jade, the light and the dark. And then I used, I have a Wink of Stella pen, or marker that I have put a little bit of the pinkish dye in, or light purple dye, and I shake it around, and then I have this light purple Wink of Stella. I don't know if you can see the sheen on there. And then I took my Mary Merlot Stampin' Right marker, and I just went around some of the circles to accent those, because if you look at a bunch of grapes, they have many different tones. They're not all one color. So I wanted to emulate nature as much as possible. And for the branches, I used my Crumb Cake Stampin' Right marker and just went over and colored those in. So the 3 colors that are on here are the Mary Merlot, the Crumb Cake, and the Just Jade. So it's a pretty simple, And I did stamp it in early espresso. I wanted the dark brown, so that is what I used for the stamping. And I did a modified fussy cut. You can see that I don't go all the way in on all the little tendrils. And the reason why is because it would make it a little flimsy on the outside. So I did a modified fussy cut. In some areas I went up and in, and some areas I just went across. So you can see how that gives it that staggered effect. And it's still a nice look. It still has a great quality look. And it is a wow card. Whenever your recipient opens it up, they're going to lift it and then they're going to see that it pops up. And who doesn't like a wow whenever they open a card? I think that's the best compliment. And then on the inside, I went through my DSP and I used a color from the, oh geez, brain cramp. This is one side of it, this is the other side. I wanted something that was pretty dramatic that held that whole area. So let me show you what I did. I do know what this one is. This one is the, geez, I'm having brain cramps all over the place today. In Good Taste Designer Series paper. And if you haven't bought this package of Designer Series paper, it has bricks and it has wood and it has stucco and it has all kinds of different looks on it. So it's great. Now on this one you just want to put glue on the bottom half. So I'm going to take this and I use my liquid glue on this. And I cut this at the 4 1/4 because I want it to go all the way to the edge. And that's why I like my liquid glue, because it gives me that little bit of wiggle room. Here we go. And that's going to stand up. Now you can see I have space up here. I also stamped the top of this before I put this on, actually, so that there would be something up at the top too. So as it's laying flat and it's open, you have that cluster of leaves on the right and left side. And so this piece is cut at 4 inches wide and it is 2 inches high. And I just want that for the bottom there. You could use either side. I like the denseness of this print though, so I used it. So that's gonna go on there. And then one of the stamps in this set is a single leaf. I had it out here. I put it on my block. What did I do with it? I must have taken it off. Yes, I did. It's this one here. And it has the little tendrils and it has 2 leaves on it. So I just stamped that on here. And while you're at it, why not do your envelope? I did the bottom and the flap of the envelope. I always like to do the envelope. So while I had this out, thought it was a great time to use it. But what I did for this was I took a scrap of white cardstock. And let me pull a scrap out of here. I was just working with this a little earlier. And then I took my Early Espresso stamp pad and just stamped this. And then I took a punch that is the medallion punch that has the little scallop edge. Let's see, where's that at? Well, it's not here. I must have used it and not put it back. Can you imagine me doing something like that? No way. Well, let's get something different. I have one here. Let's put it in. This is the 1 3/8. Now this is a retired one, but I keep all these because you can use them for lots of different things. Now what I would do is just punch out that center point, and then I would color that in also. So I start with my light Just Jade, and I do the inside of the leaves, the edges and the insides. And then I find that when I use the light and the dark of my Stampin' Blends, if I take it and go over just the areas that are highlighted on the image, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a couple seconds. So this is the inside of the leaf that I've done in the light. So if I take the dark Just Jade, and again with the fine point, and I just kind of go up and along those lines, and it gives me great definition. So I'm going to do those. And then, as I mentioned before, my little tendrils I did in crumb cake. And I'm just going to take that brush point and kind of go up and around. It has a little brown right there. And then it comes through, goes across here, and down there. And that's done. Now what I would also do to this is I would sponge the edges of this. And I took my brown sponge, and I have my early espresso already on here, and I just flick the edges like so, and that gives it that kind of antique look. So I'll put that down, and to make this stand up here, I'm going to use a dimensional on there. So let me grab a dimensional. I have a few left on this piece. And you just need one, because this isn't meant to hold anything strenuously. So I'm going to put it like this, up towards the edge there. Now this piece, when you go to glue this, and I like using liquid glue, first of all I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to give it a little curl underneath so that nothing stands up and sticks out and could get caught on an envelope. So I got a little bit of that. But whenever you adhere this, there's an area that's not going to be covered with glue. So if you want to be careful not to get that edge, what I do is I'll mark it just so that I don't go over my line. And that way I know I can go right up to that line and around the edges, and then just a little bit in the middle. And now it should be okay to place it on this card. And oops, I just got glue on there. Didn't want to do that. And I'm just going to place this right here on the front and give it a little burnish with my hand. And there's the card. Pretty easy, great impact, and a wonderful way to showcase this card set. And if you like more specific instructions, I'd be happy to send you a tutorial. Just get a hold of me. You can always reach me by my email at suestap1@gmail.com. My 24-hour store, if you want to order the set or the dies or any of the supplies, is suestap.stampinup.net. My blog address is suestap.com. Now, let me show you a couple other cards that I made this morning using the same set. Just wanted to kind of give you some ideas. And again, we did this with a couple different colors here. And I did this one. This is using that same In Good Taste Designer Series paper, or DSP as we call it. And this is one of the brick patterns on there. And I thought it was nice because I like the grayness of this. So I thought, well, what should I do the vines out of? And I had done some green and I had the brown. And I put it on there and it was like, I don't know, I thought it kind of got lost. So that's when I came up with the white. So what I did was I cut the white twice, and this one goes, where does this go? It comes off of here. It's that L piece, which is what this is. So I just used part of it and did it straight up here. And on this one here, I used the story label punch and stamped it in black, and I put a little black sequin on the top and bottom of that story label punch. This is the inside that I did. Again, just accents in black. And this one is Rich Razzleberry. Someone's at my door. hang on a second. Sorry about that. Never fails. So this is another one, and this one I did with rich raspberry cardstock, and I used my blends on this also. I used the Granny Apple Green on this one, and I thought that it gave it a little punch since the rich raspberry is such a dense, deep color. And I did the grapes in the light and the dark of the rich raspberry, and then I used, this is the die that's in this set, and this is one of the sentiments. It says, "You're so sweet." And I sponged the edge of that with the rich raspberry. I did an inside leaf and probably one on the envelope too. Yep, sure enough. So that's the third one. And then on this one, I had that, the crumb cake and the white. So I thought, well, how about a color block look? So I did this one. I did this on Pear Pizzazz. I made it a side opening card that is 11 inches long, scored a 5.5. And I took some of those little leaves. This is my play area, that what I had here. I took some of the leaves and I fit them up into the openings of this, where I had cut out this piece. Put this piece over in the corner, and then added those green leaves here. I just kept this the white and the crumb cake. The outside of this card, the punch and the die and the stamp set is this Forever Grateful. And if you notice those little beads that go around there, that's part of the stamp. So I stamped that first, and then I used the die to cut that out. And this is the Everyday label. I used that behind there, and I did sponge it with that crumb cake just to give it that kind of antique look, or to more coarsely coordinate with the color there. So there we have, and I still have things to play with here, but so I want to show you the cards. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's 4 cards, pretty quick and easy. If you have any questions, or you want some help or a tutorial, or you need more information, please get a hold of me. Again, you can reach me by email at suestapp1@gmail.com. My 24-hour store for merchandise is suestapp.stampinup.net, and my blog is suestapp.com. So, thanks for joining me today, and I'm happy to share this Forever Grapevine stamp set and the coordinating dies. This is how I store mine. I keep my dies right in the same package with the stamps. So I have my stamps and my dies here. That'll go there. Again, thanks for joining me, and happy stamping.